Good day, ladies and gentlemen, your gun doctor here. Today we're going to talk about the Xm4 C58 and Fara. Which one is now the best? We're going to compare their recoil, their damage, bullet velocity, everything to each other, because recently these guns got nerfed, barrels got changed. So which one is now the best, the dominating, which fits to your playstyle the best? What essentially happened is C58 slight recoil increase, Fara slight recoil increase, and Xm4 the recoil pattern got smoothened, which means the recoil pattern was like and now it's like so it's just better. And the nail gun obviously got reduced in effective damage range. But the most important part is which of these three guns is now the dominating one though. The Fara used to be laser beam, the C58 is the new AMAX, and the Xm4 was kind of in between. Let's look at all of them, all their recoils, and let them fight against each other. Let's talk about the recoils first and see already which gun is actually meant for which kind of player. The Fara, for a funny reason with a 60 round mag, after 35 bullets doesn't have recoil anymore at all. And the Fara also has the smallest recoil of all three of them. I think the Fara is really for the people that actually have trouble keeping tracking, aiming, not having a good mouse control, because it's a very simple gun that shoots brrrr. So it's like one continuous movement, where the C58, for example, has insanely low recoil, no left and right bounce, but it goes taka, 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 taka. And that can be a problem to keep on track because the fire rate is lower than the Fara. If you track with the Fara, it's like, really? And if you go with the C58, it's taka, 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 taka. And that's where bullet spacing can then happen. And you actually do miss your shots if you don't get your tracking on point. The Xm4 is kind of like in between. It's more fluent than the C58, but it's not as fluent as the Fara is. So it's a little bit in between. So if you do not like the of the Fara and the taka taka of the C58, you get it like a medium taka taka with the Xm4. Keep in mind though that the Xm4, the first 4 bullets, they make your gun fly up and then it smoothens out. That's something that really throws me off about the Xm4 and that I really don't like. According to this now, which gun does actually need anything? Because this is 3 times with no grips on 50 meters. But which gun of this now would need a grip, especially considering that the barrels already have horizontal and vertical recoil control? Looking at the Xm4, for example, the grip helps with the bullet spacing, but the no grip is also very convenient. The bullet spacing is really just the distance between the bullets on distance. So the further you go away, obviously the further your bullets go apart. And with a grip, you can take care of that. Obviously, you wouldn't need the field agent grip for horizontal bounce because you don't really have horizontal bounce on the Xm4. So I do prefer to play my Xm4 rather on ADS speeds, very aggressive, than with a grip to get the bullet spacing done. But as you can see, if you have a trouble with the recoil, especially on distance with the Xm4, you won't want to use a grip. On the Fara, it's kind of the same but different because the no grip has insane bullet spacing actually. Like you can see, this is quite a lot, especially if you consider this now on a 100-meter beam. With a grip, the bullet spacing is way lower. Also, you do have some horizontal wibble wobble. It's not a lot, but if you imagine this now on distance, yes, it will be felt, and you will at some point probably miss a shot due to the horizontal wibble wobble. That being said, once you get used to it, you might not need it, especially if you fight always 100 meters and below. If you don't attempt 200 meter sprays, I would most likely not put a grip on. But if you're really that guy that wants to do the long range sprays, you will want to play a grip on it. For the C58, it was actually pretty simple, and I did not see a single reason to test the grip out. There is no horizontal bounce. It's like really a straight line up with a no grip. And well, the grip would be taking care of the horizontal bounce as it does of the vertical, but there's also no vertical. It's tiny. The bullet spacing is tiny. Everything is together. And that's with a 4x scope. The 4x scope has less vertical recoil control than 3x scope, but it helps good with the horizontal. So you're very perfect off to go. There's no reason to ever touch a grip on the C58, even after the recoil nerfs now. All of these are beamers now, but who does really dominate on the ranges, mid ranges, short ranges? Which one is like used for which job the best? Looking at the Xm4 long range, 583 milliseconds time to kill, and you only need to hit 2 headshots for that, and then 2 body, tummy, arm, and leg shots. Extremely forgiving. So with 2 headshots and then 6 shots spread over the body, having a really nice time to kill, paired with that recoil together, super nice. If we're looking at this C58 here, 542, you only need to hit 2 headshots, 2 chest shots, and then 1 tummy, 1 arm, and leg shot. That is also extremely forgiving, considering also that the more headshots you hit, the more forgiving it gets. So you go taka, 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 and that is really pinpoint precision beaming over the Xm4, who goes brrr, or the Fara, who's actually a bit more convenient than the Xm4 because the Xm4 has more recoil than the Fara. The Fara has the lowest time to kill, but really also the smoothest recoil. The biggest downside is, though, you do have to hit 9 bullets for 608 milliseconds time to kill. That compared to the C58, which only has to hit 6 bullets. Can be sometimes a bummer, but you at least shoot very fast, and that's the good thing. You have 790 fire rate, versus 553, and that's once you're on target, you just vomit in their face with 2 headshots, 2 chest shots, tummy, arm, and leg shots for 608 milliseconds time to kill. And even if you miss a single shot, and this is the good thing about these guns, so even if you start missing shots, 9 shots to kill, 10 shots to kill, and good decent time to kill. If you start missing shots here, yes, 7 for chest or tummy, but then with arm and legs, you would actually go for 8, and that would go down. So the C58 is the least forgiving rifle. It needs to be the most precise. I would say the Fara is for the least experienced player. The Xm4 is for the medium experienced player. And really the C58 is for the most experienced player because you got to be pinpoint on target. Despite it being really easy to beam, again, it's the least forgiving one. If we're now looking at the short ranges, for sniper support, the C58 might have the lowest fire rate, which makes it least forgiving, but it has the chance with 2 headshots and 3 chest shots for 434 milliseconds time to kill. That's obviously the most optimum time to kill, pretty much. If you then go for 6 shots, you would go for 542 milliseconds time to kill, which is still nice. Looking at the Xm4, way more forgiving as sniper support because 2 headshots, chest shots, tummy, and then 1 an arm and leg shot for 499 milliseconds. If you then miss one of these, obviously go for 583, which is worse than the 542, but it's extremely forgiving because you hit the 2 headshots, then you pull pretty much down, hit the rest of the body and go. Same goes for the Fara, might have the worst time to kill, but it's 2, 2, 2, 2. And even if you then do miss it, you're still at 608 over the whole board. So the Fara and the Xm4 extremely forgiving both, but the C58 with the biggest potential to really hurt people. You remember the recoil, it did have some bullet spacing. What we want to have is the agency suppressor and the task force. There's like no reason to use the ranger because that gives us bullet velocity and recoil control. Fantastic. Takedown gives you horizontal recoil control or effective damage. But the thing is, the task force gives us bows. Yes, we might have the minus of aim down side speed, but 35% effective damage range and the huge chunk of bullet velocity. There's no reason to ever touch a single other barrel. Now we're going to go for the actual 3 arms, the 45 round mag because you don't need more ammunition. And as you've seen, if you really go for the extreme long range shots, you do want to have a field agent realistically to get rid of the bullet spacing. So you're just conveniently hitting more shots back to back to back to back to back to back. But realistically, if you're playing very aggressive, if you're zoomer, if you're boomer, if you're running in and clapping cheeks, then you want to play this with an airborne elastic wrap. Why? Because let's say you play this with a shotgun or with a Colt MP5 that shoots up to 10-15 meters. And on 15 meters, you want to whip out your AR already. So then if you want to whip out your AR already, you want to have an airborne elastic wrap so you get it out faster. The field agent was really not needed here. Therefore, you can highly recommend try this out with the no grip. Again, putting you in mind, that is Xm4 grip to no grip. Therefore, with the grip, yes, better bullet spacing, but with the no grip, you're already good to go. Also, with the grip, you're a bit smoother off. Choose your poison here. I prefer to take the advantage of not necessarily needing a grip and just being able to ADS in faster. If you're then playing this as a sniper support gun, you've seen that the gun does not really have any kind of horizontal bounce, even up to 50 meters without any attachments. So I would definitely put the actual 3 arms off. I would put the normal suppressor on. I would put the takedown on for the effective damage range. You don't want to have the task force here because you don't want to ruin your ADS speed at all, since you're going to be fighting SMGs too. Then I don't necessarily think you would need the wrap. You could actually then play it with the bruiser and the Tiger Team Spotline to be a very efficient, quick runner. Good ADS time because you do have the suppressor for sprint to fire and getting in, the takedown for the 35% effective damage range, and a little bit of horizontal recoil control. And you're just an absolute menace with an SMG AR combination. Now, if you're absolutely unable, obviously, to use the iron sight, I would probably put the bruiser grip off, keep the Tiger Team Spotlight, and then put a Microflex LED on. But better get used to the iron sight so you could be a more agile mobile beamer. That's why I'm saying often it's a controller gun because you really want to play it iron-sighted. Now going over to the C58, we have seen on the long ranges, no grip. No question, no grip. There's like, I'm not even going to consider a grip. It doesn't even make it better. That means we're going to be having the Royal Cross 4 times, because with the Royal Cross 4 times, you have this extra zoom to then hit your headshots back to back to back to back. The Royal Cross also has very good standard reticles that you can be putting on. I tend to go something for the central, or for really the pinpoint precision beaming play, something like the precision. Then we're playing this together with the Task Force Agency Suppressor. And again, there's no grip needed, so we can go for 45 round drum mag, and here too for the airborne elastic. Now, if you do feel like you can't handle that recoil, and if you feel terrible about the recoil, then put the airborne elastic off, and by all means put a field agent on. But the gun just tells you, I don't need it. It's so easy to shoot. It's very chill in your hands, and you can hit back to back to back shots on any distance. Very easy. And the good thing with the airborne elastic wrap again is on these 25 meter plus 35% plus 10% from the suppressor ranges, so like up to 40 meters roughly, you can have a 5-shot to kill. So you whoop this out faster than other guns because you don't need a foregrip, and you can clamp harder in the first damage fall off, and then the second damage fall off, you're very good to go regardless. If you want to play this as sniper support now, it would be great if you could play this Einsight. The problem is the Einsight is just not good enough. You will lose tracking easy, especially inside buildings. So I've been playing this with a Silix Holo Scout. In this case, not swapping the agency for the suppressor, because you want to have the most effective damage range to really be able to get this 5-shot to kill easily down. But I was swapping the Task Force over to the takedown, so you don't have the ADS time penalty. You're good to go. Also, if you're playing this as sniper support, you might try out with the actual 3 arms. It's going to get harsher close quarter combat, but let's say you're one of these slower sniper support players, for example, this together with an HGR, then you could definitely play this with an actual 3 arms, but still the takedown over the Task Force. You have the horizontal recoil and the effective damage range. You take some care of the vertical recoil too, and you're just having everything, the best of every world, the bonus zoom to really hit your headshots, and you're good to go. That being said, Microflex might be more your vibe, or even the Vision Tag 2 times, because the field of view is just insane even when you're inside buildings. So all these are viable options for a sniper support C58. Going over with the Fara, I always played the 45 round mag for the most optimal ADS time, but with the 60 round mag, it just stops having recoil after 35 bullets. So why not? On range, putting on the Spasnos RPK, the GRU suppressor, and here also comes the question out, grip or no grip? We've seen it before. With a no grip, you have quite some bullet spacing. With a grip, it's more continuous. And also you do have some horizontal bounce, which gets emphasized over distance. If you're fighting under 100 meters continuously and not really going for the long range beams, I would argue that the GRU elastic wrap is more than enough to keep you on target, especially with a no recoil after 35 shots. That being said, again, bullet spacing is an issue. Bullet spacing really makes you then feel weird when you're shooting, and you can't really get like dot, shot after shot after shot after shot. So that's where you want to have the Spasnos grip. Try both versions out and see which one is your best. It's again also an experience question. The more experience you get with a gun, the more likely you're to put the grip off. But the less experience you wear the gun, the less you've played it, you're more likely to keep the grip on. Both versions are okay. This one is then again, you play it with a shorter range SMG, put the GRU elastic wrap on. You're playing this with an SMG that can shoot up to 20-30 meters, LC10, Milano. Then you can put on the Spasnos grip because you don't have to whip this out in a 20-meter range or a 15-meter range. This is also something to keep in mind when you're pairing these guns together. Playing the Fara then as a sniper support, I do believe that the Einsight of the Fara is good enough. And then I do play this with a takedown barrel. Since the damage fall-off doesn't hurt it that much, I tend to go for the suppressor here because the gun can be very sluggish. And I think we could stay with a 60 round mag because you really do want to have the bonus of no recoil after a certain amount of shots. Then we're going to swap over here definitely for the GRU elastic wrap. There's no reason to then actually go for anything but the GRU elastic wrap. We could make our movement a bit faster with the Tiger Team Spotlight, but I do believe that this gun wants to have a little bit more sprint to fire speed, so I would go for the KGB skeletal stock, because else it will feel relatively sluggish. And then you're good off to go to really beam those jimmies left and right efficiently and hard. Ladies and gentlemen, what do you think about the C58, Fara, and the Xm4? Which one is your favorite? Which one are you vibing with the hardest? My verdict here is C58 is really for experienced players because you need to be pinpoint precision beaming on the headshots, on everything. The Xm4 is extremely forgiving, and the Fara too, you can hit wherever. I think the Fara is the absolute noob gun right now. It's like a Grau on crack, a Kilo on crack, all these guns combined just on crack. So go for that. Fara easiest, Xm4 medium to advanced players, and then C58 for experts, not because of the recoil, but because you really need to be on point to reap a benefit of the Xm4, of the C58, else the C58 is not going to be your friend. How do your builds look? Were you surprised by the recoil patterns? Did you play them wrong or not? What are you playing them as? Sniper support long range, and how do you build them yourself? Thanks for checking out my video. Thanks for supporting the channel so much. I hope you enjoyed this description, the comparison. Again, timestamps are always in the description below. And yes, there will also gameplay be following with these guns to then show you how well these builds do actually work in the Warzone. I wish you a fantastic good time. I wish you a fantastic good night, and see you in the next video.